try that again. Voice test. There we go. Okay, so we're going into the first game in preseason 6 in Nuel for Leeds A on the blue team. In the top lane we have Jax versus Garen. Jax, once he gets his Gwynsos in this patch, is stupidly strong, but before then is quite vulnerable. Garen should be able to bully him, but Jax will outscale, in my opinion. Garen, however, is a good tank. Junglers, we have Elise versus Zac. Zac has gained popularity again since the masteries in the Resolve tree. I'm going to call it the Resolve tree. I think it's Resolve. Frosty Intelligence Resolve? Maybe. Whatever. In the last tree anyway, the ones here, there's a masteries that really help tanks because they have lots of damage reduction, or lots more health, or lots more damage. A lot of people in solo queue are going AP Zac just for that initial burst damage from his ult, and when the E and W lands. However, if you're playing AP, you're better off on someone like Elise, in my opinion, for that, because she scales off it harder. Those are pretty even matchup. Elise is stronger early game, Zac's stronger later. Mid lane we have Brand versus Kassadin. I haven't seen Kassadin in the new patch, but with the bust to Lichbane, I presume he's quite strong. Brand is still good. Good reliable wave clearing damage. A little immobile. Actually no, sorry, it's against Diana. It's a support Brand. So it's Kassadin versus Diana. In that case, those are very similar champions. I would give Kassadin the edge because of his passive, but I think he takes longer to become a strong pick, so the mid game will definitely favour Diana. Finally, we have Brand and Lucian versus Alistair and Tristana. I think Lucian is a better pick in the current patch. Tristana still has her ability to kill turrets, but Lucian with Essence Reaver is just so strong. The cooldown reduction scales really well on him, and the crit is really good for him. However, it should be noted that practice-wise, A-Team have had some practice on the new patch, but some players more than others, so we'll have to see if George adapts to the new items quickly, because I know he hasn't had that much time to practice this week. Now, we're just going in game now, so I'll swap it over from Champion Select to the game. Now what we're interested in is in the level 1. And so, red team is heading for an invade on the top side of the map, with Tristana at the rear. Blue team is doing a standard split, but will they cover their jungle entrances? Dean does not spot red team, and this area is uncovered. This is just bad of Leeds A. They should know this is coming. Feeder with Mario is going to see it, but he's going to have to run. Luckily he was playing in a quite safe position anyway, so apart from vision, red team doesn't get anything. But they now know that Elise is starting blue, and they'll have the exact timers for both Gromp and for blue buff. Whereas blue team knows nothing. They don't know where Zac's starting, which is at this top side. They don't know whether these two are going to do Gromp or not, which it does look like they are going to. We need to work on that level 1. So here we have a heavy leash from Garen onto Zac. Have to go into top lane. And Jack's leashed for Elise. Seeing as they're both to lane, but because Tristan did Gromp, it's hard to tell where Zac started because both top and bot arrived later to lane. The Jax vs Garen matchup early on is unlikely to do anything. As we can see, Diana's quite strong in the mid lane, but quite mana hungry as well. Elise is going to have to donate probably second blue to her, which is a shame because Elise is quite mana hungry in the jungle anyway, at least early on. And instantly level 2 gank from Zac. And hang on, I just need to reduce my map scroll speed. Even more than that. There we go. That'll be much easier to watch now, hopefully. In the bot lane, blue team have shoved this in, and they have some defensive wards. This ward is very good for stopping Zac ganking. I like that. This one is just in case he comes down river. No vision of dragon, but at this point in the game, the enemy team will not be doing dragon. Feeder Mario is looking to get some more vision of river. That will help mid out because he knows he's safe from that side. And he'll just complete his clear, go back and probably pick up the tracker jungle item for the wards. Now we go back to mid. The lack of mana on Diana is really hurting her. If we look at items, Castin has Corrupting Potion, so has a lot of sustain compared to the Doran's Ring, which is good for initial damage, but means that Diana's run out of sustain and is therefore going to have to go back whilst the lane is pushed towards her. This means Diana's going to miss that wave, and Castin is already ahead on CS, so he's going to take an even greater lead. That could be fixed by either going to teleport, so she could teleport back now, or going Corrupting Potion like Castin has. The top lane, Jax vs Garen, very boring matchup. Until a jungler ganks, this will not result in any kills. They barely do any damage to each other. Jax is just trying to scale up so he can get Gwynsos, and Garen is just trying to deny as much farm as he can, so that Gwynsos is delayed. Now what I'm interested to see this game is whether mid bot lane decides to rotate early. Again, that ward's spotting Zac really well positioned. But Zac is now coming for the river gank, which the ward spotted him moving in that direction, but they don't know for certain, so they're playing far too... Actually, I take that back. They've now backed off a little bit. George is playing a bit aggressive, but I think he knows the jungler is there and is trying to waste Zac's time. So that's actually quite good of him. However, if he goes for these CS here, he will be very in danger and probably have to flash. Zac has been there for a long time. And there we go, Brand is going to die. That was just simply a lack of vision in the river, and if they knew that pink ward was there, they knew they didn't have that vision. So they should have played a lot safer. In fact, they probably should have gone back. If we look at the gold, Lucian has 1900, no 1400. So in bank, so he could have gone back and got his BF sword, or even Kajun's hammer and boots maybe. Mid lane, I'll just rewind to watch that dive. Castadin and Dino have both been poking each other. Dino is very far behind on CS, almost 2 waves. No, more than 2 waves. So Momchill really needs the jungler, and he really needs to help out mid here. Gaston uses his spells, and then all-ins on Diana, just as Elise is there. The flash was greedy. It got the kill, which is good because Diana is behind, but it wasn't necessary. Also, if we look, Elise's flash is still up, so Elise could have flashed with Diana, which would have been a lot safer. Yes, you use an extra flash, but you kill Caston just that tiny bit quicker. I think since Diana used Ignite, she wanted to commit to the kill. If we look at Caston, his summoner spells are now down as well, so mid will be a lot more dangerous with no flash, but also a lot safer with no ignites. Top lane, Jax is starting to scale, but he still hasn't gone back to buy any items. With these wards, he's pretty safe to shove. And if we look at Jax's gold at 115, he can get a pickaxe and a boots. I think he's scared to lane against Garen because he's a bit low on mana and Garen has the execute. So he's being forced back here without having been able to shove it in. It would have been really nice if he could have asked Feeder Mario to come up and help him shove it in, because then he would have denied a bit more. However, he did go back whilst the lane was pushing towards him, so he didn't lose very much, I guess, at all. Probably 1 or 2 maximum. So a good B timer. If we look back bot lane, Tristana got the kill. So if we look at the goal, Tristana, luckily George is way ahead in CS because of Lucian's power right now. So they're actually still equal on goal despite Tristana having a kill. Mid lane, that was, we'll just rewind, but it's pretty obvious what happened there. Diana's in mid. In fact, we'll go over that slightly further. So Diana's coming back from blue buff. This is a really dangerous time for every mid laner because you're now a priority target because you're holding a buff. Especially as Casting doesn't have blue buff, so they know that Diana will push up and play aggressively because she has that blue power. She should be more wary of the power of Zac ganks. Just because you have a ward here doesn't mean that you can't get ganked by Zac. Without flash, there's no way out of this. Although that looked like the mid laner's mistake, really there should have been a ward here. And probably some ward here or here. Some deep wards to see what's going on. Because playing against Zac, you need those deep wards. Because his gank opportunities are so... There's so many routes he can gank from. I mean, he can jump from there to there. From where he is now to over that wall. Which is insane. Luckily, they sense that Alistair is going in more than usual aggression there, so they back off, but Brand again gets caught. Because Brand is a very mobile support. He's very strong damage-wise, but you need to have the vision to be able to play that aggressive style on Brand. And they simply don't have it, because Alistair is denying really well. They've got a pink here to stop the ward being placed here for the Zac ganks. And this is all red vision. Completely in the jungle. They know exactly what's going on. Again, blue is short of vision. The good thing for blue is that George is very ahead and hasn't died yet. And Jax hasn't died yet either and is staying even with Garen. So that means these side lanes are winning, in my opinion. The only difficulty is that Zac and Castian have got ahead. If Diana can prevent that lead from escalating and follow any roams, then the side lane should be able to carry this game. Momchill here is walking into no vision at all when his mid lane has gone back. This is just asking to die, unfortunately. With the red team's vision, they knew exactly where he was, and because Dino had gone back, she couldn't come to help. He really needs to get an earlier scanner and start scanning his own jungle to protect it. Zac hasn't got a scanner, but they've been controlling the entrances to the jungle a lot more with these wards, so they can see if Momcho tries to get deep wards. This means Zac and Castin are now very far ahead. And the way this patch works with 6 kills and a 2k gold advantage, red team have a very high chance of winning. Mid lane, we don't need to rewatch that. That was simply Castin overstayed to try and greed the turret, and therefore Elise and Diana ganked him. Here Elise is trying to fight Zac, which she can still do because Elise is very strong, so despite being behind by 2 kills, she can out-chunk him. However, once her burst is down, her DPS goes down severely, so she has to back off. That's all fine. Empty mid lane here. Exactly equal. And now we see Zac making his way up to top lane, looking for wards with that Brave Smite. And he finds the pink. This pink is a bit unnecessary. It's Zac's ganking through this bush is a bit weird for Zac. If he's coming from behind, he's probably going to come from this side because you can get closer without the turret spotting you. And if he's coming from here, he'll jump over. In this time he knew he'd cleared the ward though, so he just stayed in that bush. The team, Dino is really just not respecting Zac's power of his ganks. He hasn't been in meta for a long while, so it's not a surprise. But hopefully they can adapt to that, because mid lane is very far behind now. Castin is a powerhouse and Zac is a powerhouse. Red team will probably look for the dive now. Both the side lanes should be expecting a dive and should be playing accordingly, but they don't have vision, so George will have to flash here. New Lucian ult does a lot of damage, but George is not going to be able to kill Zac because of his passive. So again, Brand dies just because there's no vision. And there's no vision at the right time. After the jungler disappears from mid, that should be called, and then vision should come. Here we see Elise and Dinah struggling to 2v1 Cassidin just because of how strong he's become. And in fact, he might be able to kill Elise here if he plays this properly. It's with Alice's help, he'll definitely be able to kill Elise. Zac comes in and Momcho's caught out again because again, red team just have wards and blue team don't. You can't buy wards currently in the new patch. So the vision game has changed a lot. Pink wards are a lot cheaper, so there should be a lot more pink wards on the map. But I've only seen 1 pink ward in that bush from blue team, and Jack's pink ward here. Dean seems to know what he's doing in the new patch more so. He's now got his Gwynso, so now he's scaling hard. He's behind Garen because Garen killed him, and Garen has Black Cleaver, so Garen will do a lot of damage as well, but Gwynso is stronger than Black Cleaver, at least on Jax. In bot lane, luckily George still hasn't died, so if we look at the gold, he's now getting behind Tristana just because of the assist gold and kill gold, and she's caught him up on CS. But compared to mid lane, where Dino's 2,000 gold behind Cassidin, it's really not that much of a deficit. This time, Brand actually had vision, so the gank didn't work. It's like going for that really deep gank. Very powerful champion. Now you can see here that Red's preparing for a dragon play. They've just put pressure on bot, so you can safely assume, and you can see they're pink with this ward, so you can safely assume they want to get dragon soon. Whether they'll be able to is a different matter, but with this amount of mid pressure from having both turrets, they probably will be able to control the pace of the game from here. And it's their game to throw. Elise still hasn't swapped out for a red trinket and has gone the slowing smite, which means that Zach with his tracker's knife has just got so much more vision available to him and so much more vision denial. He's been buying pinks and Momcho hasn't. He really needs to buy pinks. This means that Momcho's just, his jungler isn't safe and he's going to get ganked again and he's going to die here, or at least somebody is going to die here. Probably Momcho. Very good mechanic play by George to flash that, but just no vision, and casting is really far ahead, so they lose that fight very cleanly. Done by red team. This is an odd fight for Garen to take because Jax wins this fight, and as you can see, Grinsos is just so powerful in Jax, and now he'll be able to start bullying top. Red team gets a free dragon from those 2 kills, and even... hang on. For some reason that pink ward can't quite see that green ward, which is... but that green ward can see that pink ward. Interesting. And now Zach can start clearing Feeder Mario's jungle, because they have the vision and they have the game pace. Feeder Mario just walking to blind vision again, couldn't see that. Luckily his team is around this time, but the enemy team is so far ahead that it's going to be hard for blue team to actually do anything here. George is out of mana, which means that as Lucian he's going to struggle, especially when casting does so much damage. But George gets out safely and gets a lot of damage down. Well played by George, and well played by the tanks to keep the red team off George. They managed to get a kill back, which really shouldn't have happened. That's red team misplaying. But Brand and Elise did die. Elise just because she walked into the enemy team. Brand because he died to keep his AD carry alive. And now we see that even the Jax is going to have to roam down to help out his team, which means that Garen is being able to push this lane in, and it is similar on gold despite them being ahead on CS. I don't quite understand that. He should be ahead on gold. Is he ahead on gold? No, Jax is ahead on gold. The kill from Jax must have been worth more for some reason. This ward is pointless because they knew Dragon was dead. So that it's alright buying using your trinket, but use it wisely. Now they're sending Jax bot because Rift Herald is up and Dragon isn't, so they want control of the top lane. And there's more turrets here, so it's safer. If I was blue team, I would have sent George and Brand mid because because Brand is likely to get dived here in this situation, which is exactly what's about to happen. So if you'd had Diana top, she could probably hold her own better. Here this dive is going to happen, and that George is going to just get blown up completely. There's nothing he can do. Yeah, I would have sent Brand and Lucian mid because it's a lot safer, and sent Diana top and kept Elise around in the jungle. They had vision here in the river, and they had a pink ward, so they had quite a lot of vision top. They just couldn't really run away quick enough. And with that, the game is pretty much lost. Brand is in a heavy deficit. The jungler's in a heavy deficit. Mid lane's 2,300 gold behind their red team mid laner. Red team would have to heavily throw, and at this level in the nationals, they don't throw that often anyway. George has played a good game, but with the Fed casters and he's just unable to do anything. Oh, he kills the Fed casting though. Very good mechanical play. Zach is so powerful right now, he just dives the turret and kills Brand. And Jack's going very deep onto the tanks. So let Dino get onto the AD carry. And Dino is still powerful, so she shuts down the AD carry. This is what blue team needed, a good strong team fight. And there they actually win that trade, because they kill 3 and only lost 2. They only just won the trade, but they did win, which is good for them. This is a really dangerous teleport. With casting with Garen's ult up, he could very easily kill Jax here if he played it correctly. Luckily Counter Strike stops Garen's Q, so that's a lot of his damage negated. And Garen is starting to build tanky, starting to get that magic resist to resist the damage from Jax, Brand and Elise and Dinah. This is a very magic heavy comp. They're relying a lot on Lucian to bring AD, especially with Jax going Grinsos. Grinsos adds a lot of magic damage, and some attack damage, but more magic damage. Jax is now pushed up. He has a ward, but that's not... Wait, is that a ward? Is that a blue trinket? I think that's blue trinket. Jax has built blue trinket. That's interesting. If he thinks it's good, it might be. Momchill still can't get rid of his yellow trinket because he doesn't have Stalker Smite. Striker's Knife rather, he has Stalker's Blade. So if he got rid of his yellow trinket, he wouldn't be able to ward. This means that the enemy team is running 2 a sweeping lens and an oracle lens, and so have lots of vision denial, whilst blue team is only running 1 sweeping lens. They're also buying less pinks, so red team have a lot of control over vision available to them. Dragon's about to spawn, and this should be easy for red team. Blue team aren't even going to contest, which is the correct play because they're 5k gold behind, which in the current patch is more like 8k gold behind in Season 5. So they shove out the waves to try and prevent red team from pushing. Red team seems to be gathering on bot because the minion wave is most pushed here, and sending Garen mid to shove that in. They're trying to avoid the Jax-Garen matchup because Jax will win. So Garen is still looking to shove mid in and then probably rotate down, and they might go for a dive. Jax's teleport is not up, so he has to B to come help. And he does not beam vision, so the red team doesn't know for sure where Jax is right now. Now that they see him mid though, they know exactly where he is and they'll go for this dive. However, they didn't quite position it right, so I think they're playing safe now. Jax going on Garen, bit of a waste of time, and Brand overextends into no vision. If we look at blue team's vision, they don't have vision there, so Brand shouldn't have gone there. Brand's having a bad game. Hopefully he can fix that for the next 2 games. Casting is just so strong that he dives Lucian. And with that, that's the inhibitor turret down. And blue team should probably just surrender. So this game, blue team has a very strong mechanical plays, but level 1, from level 1 onwards, vision control was not there. And not even in the sense that team vision was needed. There was less vision in this game than most solo queue games, kind of diamond level, because the mid laner and the jungler didn't buy pink wards. Now that red team have this bottom inhibitor, they'll be looking to shove the lanes in and then go for Baron. With Zac Garen, they can tank Baron quite easily, and Tristana will kill it very quickly with those 3 items. George is a whole item behind Tristana, so he's going to struggle. Blue team, knowing red team are going for Baron, are trying to set up their own vision. But they don't have that vision denial at this stage. They now have vision, but they can't get rid of this deep ward. They have the sweeping lens, but they don't know it's there. So sweeping lens, because that ward was obvious. Pink ward on Baron, and all that vision is instantly gone. They've got one thing on ward on blue buff. This means that blue team can't walk into the fight because they don't have vision, and it's a free Baron for red team. At this point in the game, blue team just need to siege for the next 10 minutes. Let red team have their entire jungle and play very defensively and hope for a good team fight. But the odds of blue team winning are very small now. The Zac ganks were really powerful this game. And Elise had a good gank on mid, but she made no impact on top lane and no impact on bot lane. Which is why those side lanes have managed to get ahead, despite, in my opinion, blue team having the stronger lanes in the side lanes. Zac played a very good game this game. And here we see the preseason 6. Once you're ahead, you're so far ahead, you become really powerful. And with that, blue team surrender. Not a bad game, but definitely some vision work that needs improving.